Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new edition of Message of Hope. And today I have the pleasure to be with Grace Kelly, who lives in southern Italy. Lucky her. And she's also a transformational, well, I cannot speak English anymore, coach. And we connected through YouTube of all places because I've seen a few videos and interviews that she did herself on YouTube, and they were very informational and lots of information in them. And I could see that her energy, a good energy about her. So welcome, Grace.
Thank you, Martine. Lovely to be here. Yeah, it's not easy to say transformational coach. I struggle with that too. But, you know, coach is good.
I just came out for 4 days of training with Michael Neal. So it seems like I spoke English for the last 4 days. I don't know why today. Anyway, another story. So welcome, Grace. And I will ask you the same question that I ask everybody. Is all having this understanding? How does that help you navigate stress or anxiety or other painful events that can show up in your life?
Well, it's very fresh for me now, Martine, because I'm certainly seeing how the understanding is really supporting me through this grief. I lost my partner very suddenly in December 2020 after he took a sudden heart attack. And I really couldn't have predicted that I would be able to even be taking interviews or seeing clients or showing up like this, you know, three months later. And I put that down to just that understanding of where my experience is really coming from. I describe it as going through grief without fear. You know, I think the fear is an extra layer of suffering that people don't realize is optional. You know, and I've really, the understanding has really helped me to allow my feelings of grief and sadness, anger, confusion to flow, rather than to come with this second layer of suffering called fear. And so I've noticed that it just flows more gently, it just flows more easily. And what I keep coming back to, Martine, is, you know, what's really helped me is I seem to have been able to get a bit of distance from the noise in my head. It doesn't look like a good idea to me anymore to get into bed with it. And trust me, it can be loud. You know, there are thoughts of regret. There are, you know, like when it's almost like when a marriage ends, you know, and there are thoughts of shoulda, woulda, coulda. What did I not do? What should I, you know, there are so many reasons for me. It's so loud at times. And yet I notice that just knowing that that's not helpful to keep engaging has been enough to move my attention away from that noise, to get a little bit of distance from that level of scary thinking. And that alone allows me a more graceful, perhaps a more gentle experience of grief. It's not to say that you know, those feelings of sadness or regret aren't there. It's just that I can see now why many people end up being trapped in the experience of loss and sadness and grief for years and years and years, innocently, when we don't know this. we're at the mercy of a mind that is really pretty harsh and really wants to blame and really wants to go over the details again and again and again, as if we can change the loss of our loved one by getting more and more into what happened. And so I feel very blessed, Martine, that in even just knowing when my thinking is dropping really low, and even just knowing when that's happening, I get a level of freedom with this sudden tragic loss. I could go on if you want me to.
No, I think it's beautiful, because now I like everybody. That's unfortunately some things that everybody will live through at one point or another is grief. It's kind of part of life, and especially in modern society, Occidental people, we death is totally occulted from day-to-day life. Like before, there was the wake at the house, and the last few funerals that I went, well, the body was not even there. It was already cremated. There was the urn, and that was it. And there's a lots of touch with that, which I think also adds a layer to the grief. Maybe I'm totally wrong. Maybe I'm talking, but I think it's important that people know that even when they're grieving their loved ones, there can still be peace and love in there.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't have predicted that, and I don't see that with everybody. I heard a story about a woman who 20 years on, after losing her fiance tragically as well, the night before their wedding or something like that, and 20 years on, she was still locked into the experience of grief. And there's also there is this, from what I understand, this saying that, well, it just goes to show how much you love the person. Well, I don't know. I mean, us continuing to suffer for 20 years, I don't know that that's a badge of love. I think that with this understanding, we start to see that suffering is optional. And in fact, I personally, Martine, have felt a very deep feeling of love and fallen into very strong connection with Francesco, my partner, as a result of understanding this and not being trapped in the suffering of it. So there is something to be said about the fact that we can grieve and be in an experience of loss, but that at the same time, we can also be in a feeling of deep, deep love. I remember when I discovered Francesco had died, and I mean, he was right in front of my eyes. So, there was no turning away from that. And the feeling that I was overcome with from then until well into weeks afterwards was a feeling of love. And that love guided me on what to do. It guided me on each step. It fueled me. That feeling of love fueled me to get through those particular days and weeks. And it's still fueling me now. And I've come to see that actually that it's not just a saying, only love is real. It's a truth. And it's available for us. This is the beauty of understanding, of knowing what we know. That love is available for us even through our most trying times.
Beautifully said. I love your blog post about your experience there. Now, very well thought of, very elegantly written too. And I love the way you write about your experience.
Thank you. Thank you. I feel like he's writing with me.
And if people want to find you, where can they find you?
Well, I have a website where I now host the blog you're talking about, Martine. So you can find me on gracefulcoaching.net. And I have a very active Facebook group where I share a lot of my private writings and sharings just going through this experience. And that's on facebook.com/groups/Graces group. So either of those places, you'll be invited into my energy.
Which is very good. Well, thank you, Grace, for sharing your wisdom with us today.
Thank you so much, Martine. My pleasure.
Thank you.